If you've ever rolled a motorcycle backward out of a parking space and felt that sudden, awkward shift in balance, then you already understand something most riders don't talk about enough. Confidence doesn't come from horsepower numbers or brand logos. It comes from what happens the moment your feet touch the ground, because that split second at a stoplight, on a sloped road, or in a tight parking lot, that's where control either exists or disappears. And here's the problem. Most riders searching for a lower seat height get pushed toward underpowered beginner bikes that feel fine at 30 miles per hour, but quickly become frustrating the moment you hit the highway. That's where regret starts to creep in, not because the bike is bad, but because it doesn't match what you actually need once you're back in the rhythm of riding. So today, we're doing this differently. We're counting down 12 motorcycles with genuinely low seat heights that still deliver real-world performance. Bikes that let you plant both feet firmly at every stop without sacrificing the power, torque, and stability you need once the road opens up. Because after 45, riding isn't about proving anything. It's about choosing a machine that works with you, not against you. And stick with me, because the #1 bike on this list doesn't just balance comfort and performance. It completely redefines what a low, confidence-inspiring motorcycle can actually feel like. Number 12. Honda Shadow Phantom. Now, this is where the list takes a very deliberate turn, because the Shadow Phantom doesn't try to impress you with flashy specs or aggressive styling. Instead, it focuses on something far more important for real-world riders, especially after 45, and that's immediate, no-thought-required confidence the moment your boots hit the ground. The seat sits just under 26 inches, which is genuinely low, not marketing low, not you'll get used to it low, but truly flat foot, both boots planted confidence at every stoplight. That means no shifting in the saddle, no awkward lean at intersections, and no second-guessing when the road surface isn't perfectly level. You sit in the bike, not on top of it, and that changes everything about how stable it feels at low speeds. Underneath you is a 745 cubic centimeter V-twin that delivers smooth, predictable torque right where you actually use it. It's not trying to snap your head back, but it doesn't feel weak either. Rolling on the throttle from 50 to 80 feels steady and controlled, which is exactly what you want for highway merging and everyday riding. And with its low center of gravity and shaft drive simplicity, the Shadow Phantom becomes the kind of bike you can ride longer without fatigue and own without constant maintenance worries. But here's the catch. Once you get used to this level of stability, you might start wanting something with a sharper edge. And that's exactly where the next bike comes in. Number 11. Suzuki SV650. Now this is where things start to shift, because the SV650 doesn't follow the typical low-seat cruiser formula, and that's exactly why it earns its place here. On paper, the seat height sits just under 31 inches, which might sound too tall for this list, but numbers don't tell the full story. The saddle is narrow where it meets the tank, allowing many riders to get a solid, confident foot down without feeling stretched or unstable. And the moment you start moving, the difference becomes obvious. This bike feels light, responsive, and incredibly balanced. At around 430 pounds, it's significantly lighter than most cruisers, which means slow speed control in parking lots and tight streets feels natural instead of intimidating. That matters just as much as seat height when confidence is the goal. Then there's the engine, a 645 cubic centimeter V-twin that has built a reputation over years for one simple reason: it just works. The power delivery is smooth, but it pulls hard through the mid-range, giving you that satisfying surge when exiting corners or merging onto the highway. It's quick without being overwhelming, engaging without being exhausting. The upright riding position keeps pressure off your wrists, while still giving you a slightly sporty feel that makes every ride more involved. But here's the tension. While the SV650 delivers agility and fun, not every rider wants that exposed, wind-in-your-chest experience. And that's where the next bike starts to feel like a smarter evolution. Number 10. Yamaha Bolt R-Spec. Now we shift back into that low-planted cruiser territory, but this time with a bit more attitude built into the experience. The Yamaha Bolt R-Spec doesn't try to be overly refined or overly modern. Instead, it delivers a raw, mechanical feel that a lot of experienced riders start to appreciate more over time. The seat height sits right around 27 inches, which immediately puts it back into that flat-foot confidence zone. At a stoplight, both feet come down naturally, your knees stay relaxed, and the bike feels anchored instead of top-heavy. That low stance makes slow-speed control almost effortless, especially in traffic or uneven parking situations. But what really defines the Bolt is what happens when you roll on the throttle. That 942 cubic centimeter air-cooled V-twin delivers a deep, immediate surge of torque right off the line. It's not about chasing high RPM power, it's about that satisfying push in the mid-range, the kind that lets you glide past traffic without needing to downshift or think twice. Weighing just over 540 pounds, it carries its mass low, so even though it's not a lightweight bike, it never feels intimidating at low speeds. The upright bars and forward pegs create a relaxed, open riding position that's built for real-world comfort. But there's a trade-off. That classic cruiser setup limits lean angle and agility, and for some riders, that starts to feel restrictive, which is exactly why the next bike takes a different approach. Number 9. Kawasaki Vulcan S. Now this is where practicality meets performance in a way most riders don't expect. The Vulcan S may look like a laid-back cruiser at first glance, but underneath that styling sits something far more versatile. And for many riders over 45, that balance becomes incredibly appealing. The seat height comes in just under 28 inches, which keeps it firmly in that confidence zone at a stop. Both feet plant naturally, your hips stay relaxed, and there's no need to slide forward or search for footing. It feels predictable, stable, and easy to manage in real-world situations like traffic lights, tight parking lots, or uneven roads. But what makes the Vulcan S stand out is what Kawasaki did with the ergonomics. Their ErgoFit system allows you to adjust the bars, seat, and foot peg position to better match your height and riding style. That's not just a comfort feature, it's a long-term advantage, especially if you're planning to ride for hours without fatigue setting in. Underneath, you get a 649 cubic centimeter parallel twin that's anything but boring. It pulls clean through the mid-range, giving you enough power for confident highway merging and smooth overtakes without feeling aggressive or unpredictable. Still, for some riders, that smooth, controlled power delivery can feel a bit too refined. And that's where the next bike starts to bring in more character, more presence, and a stronger sense of personality. Number 8. Triumph Speed Twin 900. Now this is where the list starts to gain a different kind of personality. Because the Speed Twin 900 isn't just about accessibility, it's about character. It brings that classic British styling together with modern performance in a way that feels refined but never dull. The seat height sits around 30 inches, which might sound slightly higher than the cruisers we've covered, but the way this bike is designed makes it feel far more approachable than the numbers suggest. The seat is narrow at the front, the weight is well balanced, and once you're at a stop, it feels stable and composed, rather than tall or awkward. At roughly 475 pounds wet, it carries itself lightly, which makes low-speed maneuvering feel controlled and predictable. That's something you notice immediately when navigating tight streets or pulling into a parking space. Then there's the engine, a 900 cubic centimeter parallel twin that delivers smooth, usable torque right from low RPM. It doesn't surge aggressively, but it builds power in a way that feels effortless and confident, especially when cruising at highway speeds or rolling through back roads. The riding position strikes a perfect middle ground, upright enough for comfort, slightly engaged for control, without putting pressure on your wrists or knees. But as refined as it feels, some riders begin to want more practicality built into the experience. And that's exactly where the next machine takes things in a smarter direction. Number 7. Honda NC 750X. Now this is where the list takes a smarter, more practical turn, because the NC 750X isn't trying to win you over with raw excitement. It wins you over with how easy it makes everything feel once you actually live with it. On paper, the seat height sits around 31.6 inches, which might seem like a stretch compared to the cruisers earlier on this list. But the moment you swing a leg over, you realize something important. The weight is carried incredibly low. Honda tilts the engine forward, dropping the center of gravity deep into the chassis, and that completely changes how the bike feels at a stop. At traffic lights, during U-turns, or when backing into a parking space, it feels lighter and more manageable than the numbers suggest. There's no top-heavy wobble, no sudden imbalance, just calm, predictable control. The 745 cubic centimeter parallel twin is tuned for real-world riding. It delivers steady torque early in the rev range, making acceleration smooth and usable rather than aggressive. Highway cruising feels relaxed, and merging into traffic never feels like a struggle. And then there's the practicality. The built-in front storage compartment is large enough for a full-face helmet, turning everyday rides into something effortless. But here's the thing. For riders who still want a stronger emotional connection, more sound, more presence, more raw pull, this level of practicality can start to feel a little too quiet. And that's where the next bike changes the tone completely. Number 6. Indian Scout. Now this is where the tone changes immediately, because the moment you sit on the Indian Scout, you feel something different. This isn't just about accessibility anymore. This is about low-planted confidence combined with real, undeniable power. The seat height sits right around 25.6 inches, which is extremely low, even by cruiser standards. The moment you stop, both feet are flat on the ground without effort. There's no balancing, no sliding forward, no uncertainty on uneven pavement. It feels secure the second you come to a stop, and that kind of confidence never gets old. But what really sets the Scout apart is what happens when you open the throttle. That 1,133 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled V-twin produces around 100 horsepower. And you feel it instantly. The power delivery is smooth, but it builds quickly, and when you roll on at highway speed, the bike surges forward with authority. Despite weighing over 500 pounds, the low center of gravity keeps everything feeling controlled at low speeds. Tight turns, parking maneuvers, and slow traffic all feel manageable, not intimidating. This is one of the clearest examples on this list that low does not mean slow. But here's where things evolve. Once you get used to this kind of power, some riders start wanting a different type of performance. Something lighter, sharper, and more responsive through corners, and that shift in preference leads directly to the next bike. Number 5. Kawasaki Ninja 650. Now this is where the list takes another sharp turn, because the Ninja 650 brings sport bike DNA into a conversation that's been dominated by cruisers, and surprisingly, it fits far better than most riders expect. The seat height sits at about 31.1 inches, which on paper doesn't sound low, but just like we saw earlier, the narrow seat and slim tank design allow many riders to get a solid foot down with confidence. Add in a curb weight of just over 400 pounds, and suddenly slow-speed control feels light, predictable, and far less intimidating than heavier bikes. What really changes the experience, though, is how this bike responds once you're moving. The 649 cubic centimeter parallel twin delivers smooth, immediate power through the mid-range, making highway merges effortless and back-road riding genuinely engaging. It doesn't overwhelm you with top-end aggression, but it gives you enough performance to feel alive every time you twist the throttle. The riding position leans slightly forward, but not enough to punish your wrists or compress your knees. It strikes a balance between comfort and control, which makes longer rides far more manageable than most people expect from a sport-styled machine. Still, that forward-leaning posture isn't for everyone. Over time, some riders begin to want more relaxed ergonomics combined with stronger torque and road presence. And that's exactly where the next bike steps in. Number 4. Harley-Davidson Low Rider S. Now we step into a completely different level of presence, because the Low Rider S doesn't just sit low, it feels substantial the moment you take it off the stand. This is where low seat confidence meets heavyweight authority in a way that experienced riders immediately recognize. The seat height comes in around 27 inches, which is impressively accessible for a bike in this class. At a stop, both feet plant firmly, and despite the size of the machine, it feels grounded rather than intimidating. There's no awkward tipping point, no uncertainty, just a solid, planted stance that builds confidence instantly. But the real story begins when you roll on the throttle. The Milwaukee 8 117 engine delivers massive torque low in the rev range, and you feel that pull immediately. You don't need to chase power. It's already there, ready to surge forward with minimal input. Highway cruising feels effortless, and passing slower traffic happens with a simple twist of the wrist. Yes, it carries serious weight, but that mass is positioned low, which keeps slow-speed handling surprisingly manageable for a bike of this size. Add in strong braking and a stable chassis, and it becomes far more capable in corners than many would expect. Still, that kind of weight isn't for everyone. Some riders start looking for something that keeps the torque, but reduces complexity and mass, and that's where the next bike changes the equation again. Number 3. BMW R-1250R. Now this is where engineering starts to change how you think about seat height entirely, because the BMW R-1250R proves that confidence isn't just about how low a bike sits. It's about how intelligently that weight is managed. With the optional low seat, height drops to just under 30 inches, which makes it far more approachable than most riders expect from a bike in this class. But the real advantage comes from the Boxer engine layout. The cylinders sit low and wide, keeping the center of gravity planted deep in the chassis. At a stop, the bike feels stable, predictable, and far less top-heavy than its size would suggest. Once you're moving, the character changes again. The 1,254 cubic centimeter Boxer engine delivers massive, effortless torque. You don't need to rev it out or chase performance. Roll on the throttle, and it responds instantly with smooth, controlled acceleration that makes highway passing feel almost effortless. The upright riding position keeps your back relaxed, your wrists neutral, and your knees comfortable, even on longer rides. Add in premium suspension and refined braking, and the entire experience feels composed, almost effortless. But that level of refinement comes with a trade-off. For some riders, it starts to feel a bit too polished, too controlled, lacking that raw mechanical connection they still crave. And that desire for something lower, more direct, and more aggressive in its feel leads straight into the next machine on this list. Number 2. Indian Sport Scout. Now this is where everything tightens up, because the Sport Scout takes what made the standard Scout impressive and sharpens it into something more aggressive, more focused, and even more engaging to ride. The seat height sits just over 25.5 inches, which puts it right back into that ultra-low, flat-foot confidence zone. At every stop, both feet hit the ground naturally, and the bike feels compact, controlled, and completely manageable, even for riders who don't want to wrestle with weight or height in traffic. But unlike softer cruisers, this machine immediately feels more alive. The upgraded 1,250 cubic centimeters V-twin delivers strong, responsive power that comes on quickly and builds with intent. Twist the throttle, and it doesn't just move forward, it pulls with purpose. Highway passes feel instant, and rolling acceleration gives you that satisfying surge without needing to push the bike hard. Despite its performance edge, the weight remains low and centered, which keeps slow-speed handling predictable. It doesn't feel bulky or hesitant, just stable and responsive in real-world conditions. This is one of those rare bikes that combines low-seat confidence with a genuinely sporty attitude. But here's the final question. What if you could keep that low, planted feel, keep the power, and add long-distance comfort and everyday usability without compromise? That's exactly what brings us to the number 1 spot. Number 1. Honda Rebel 1100T. Now this is where everything comes together, because the Rebel 1100T doesn't just check individual boxes. It blends them into one complete, well-balanced machine that feels purpose-built for real-world riders. The seat height sits right around 27.5 inches, which keeps it firmly in that flat-foot confidence zone. At every stoplight, Your feet plant naturally, your knees stay relaxed, and the bike feels stable without requiring any effort or adjustment. There's no learning curve here. It feels right immediately. But what truly sets it apart is how it delivers performance. The 1,084 cubic centimeter parallel twin produces strong, early torque that builds smoothly and predictably. It doesn't overwhelm you, but it never feels lacking either. Rolling on the throttle at highway speed gives you steady, controlled acceleration that makes passing feel effortless and composed. Then comes the practicality. The touring setup adds wind protection, improved comfort, and a riding position that supports longer distances without fatigue. And with the option of Honda's dual-clutch transmission, you remove the strain of constant shifting in traffic, turning daily riding into something almost seamless. It's low, it's powerful, and it's genuinely easy to live with, and that's the real takeaway from this list. Once you experience a motorcycle that gives you confidence at a stop without sacrificing performance on the road, you stop chasing numbers and start choosing what actually works. And if this list changed the way you think about seat height, then you're already ahead of most riders out there. Because the real upgrade isn't more horsepower or a bigger engine, it's confidence you can feel every time you come to a stop. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which bike surprised you the most, or which one you'd actually ride. And if you want more real-world motorcycle lists that focus on comfort, control, and performance without the hype, make sure you subscribe. And if you're not done yet, check out the next video on your screen, because once you start choosing smarter bikes, the riding experience changes completely.